Greetings. My name is Rasulai Tafari, and I pray you are all great. All glory to the Almighty for the day, with thanks and praises. Ziyabir Masagan. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God. Well, I just wanted to reason for a quick moment and catch everybody up because we've had some videos that talked about the importance of reforming the United Nations now. And I wanted to update you from the last video in the back of the car in Florida. It's been a wonderful last 2 years for many of us. And from that night and those days, we have organized in multiple manners. One of them was to create a think tank in which we could create a draft proposal as well as see flaws in different strategies that we wanted to implement in different orders. After creating a group of quite a few people, about 90 people, we came up with a draft proposal of what we would like to see. And we were able to put it together and also make a book. So this is what we've accomplished in the last 2 years since we've talked. The book is Mankind's Last Hope, The Urgent Need to Reform the United Nations. Edited by Hugo Makepeace and James Griffin. So we give thanks and praises. The book also includes questions from the think tank, ideas, the processes in which it came forth, as well as the background of the United Nations. Understanding how we got here, as well as the how, what, whens, and wheres, have been developed and made more finite as we've been moving in a direction in which has opened the group publicly. So we've done this the day that we published the book. And this was November 2nd, 2020. And it was aligned also with the African conference that was happening at the same time. And though under restrictions, was still a wonderful conference, and we had a lot of wonderful thinkers involved with that. Part of that was that I was able to send the book as well as a letter to a number of different people, starting the process of writing emissaries and ambassadors and representatives and activists, teachers, academics, and reaching out. It has been incredibly successful, and R.U.N.N was started. Reform the United Nations now. And at this point, we have spread to 4 countries, in which we have R.U.N.N UK, R.U.N.N Germany, R.U.N.N Canada, and R.U.N.N USA. We've gone through the paperwork of making sure that everything is orderly in the manner of making sure it is a proper non-profit organization, and that things are looked at from an infrastructure perspective and organization and centralization perspective. Because we want to make sure that what we're building here is strong and won't just fall down, that we have a board of directors, that we have everything reviewed by all of us as much as possible. And we look forward to more members, and we look forward to more opinions from more countries that we can build together. We came to a conclusion while writing the draft proposal on simply a red, gold, and green New Deal. The red being the removal of the UN Security Council veto power, which is at the forefront of our work. Having this as the most key and central part of the work is incredibly important, because if we're looking at it from being able to present a case to a judge and a jury, you do not want it so that the judge and the jury are paid off or being influenced by a corrupt process. So when I say that, I mean specifically, if you bring a case before the United Nations and 5 nations, Russia, China, the United States, UK, or France, says they don't want to hear it, then it's not going to be passed. That resolution will not be able to be enacted on. And that's undemocratic. So focusing on that basic principle has allowed the nations of the world and ones around to open up a discussion which we have to ask, do you think you're going to have rapid changes in the time necessary to see the results that are needed for our survival? And that includes removing nuclear weapons, the human rights atrocities with no accountability, particularly by corporations and large wealthy countries, as well as the environmental damages going on. That we cannot be bringing a case before a judge that profits off human rights violations and environmental damages, that is the holder of the biggest nuclear weapons. These subjects are unanimously agreed on generally. I know it's not unanimously, it was general, but What I'm saying is that in principle, these are the ideas that the United Nations was founded on, was human rights. And yet the countries in which have the most power are not even party to the ICC, which is the International Criminal Court. So what we've done is created different strategies in which we are organizing night and day around the world. And part of that is understanding how to create bridges and alliances with human rights organizations as well as environmental organizations. We need your help. If you're involved in something that is progressive and can see that what you're working on will work underneath us as an umbrella, that what we're speaking on really is an umbrella over every subject that deals with the future of humanity and equality, that the necessary place to have this discussion is at the United Nations. The book also goes into His Majesty's words to the United Nations. Part of what we have done is created a website, reformtheunitednationsnow.com, which has 9 speeches from His Imperial Majesty to the United Nations. Looking at this from a farmer's perspective, and also looking at it from the King's words, and applying it the way that you would plant food, the way you would prepare soil, the way you would look at seeding. These things are important in the way that we educate, but also the way that we look at the processes of reforming the United Nations. A lot of this has made it so that we realize that there are a lot of things that need to be reformed, but more importantly than that, if you love something, you correct it. If you love something, you wanted to see it grow, you want to see it healthy and prosperous. We're not in denial or optimists that are without a true vision that is not just hope that's going to do this, but it's going to be that understanding that it is our duty to be involved in making things we believe in stronger. And this is part of why it bridges people from many different places. We are looking at a beautiful opening of where we're not just asking that we focus on how to reform the United Nations and look at the best manners in which to do it. So part of this red, gold, and green is red. The veto power must be removed from the UN Security Council. How do we get it done? In here I map out the nations that are already for removing the veto power from the UN Security Council. Also nations that lean that way. We look at different natures of what type of leverage and pressure could be added and used in order to create governments to come together, as well as to pressure governments that have the veto power to let go of it willingly. We've looked at a number of different issues that we look forward to sharing with you more, and they're also in the book. The green part is the environment. But before we can really see a strong United Nations that actually cares about the environment, you've got to look at the contributors, and you've got to look at those that are having the biggest say in what gets passed and doesn't pass. Most of the world agrees on most things, and this is the blessing and also the curse, because when so few have it in their interest to capitalize off of keeping the masses in a state of desperation and suffering and environmental peril, it doesn't make sense that 189 nations would not stand together against these 5, rather than let a little more than 1% control them. This is not complicated, it's not controversial. It's in the interest of both those who are nationalists as well as environmentalists. It is the real nature of global citizenship and international morality, and that shaping of public opinion is what we would also ask for you to think about. How to put pressure through education and understanding simply that there's a right and there's a wrong. There's a way of cooperating, and there is a way of neglecting and removing yourself from the accountability chain. We have been blessed to reason with academics, to have group reasonings regularly, to have different departments. We look forward to having your participation and interest. If you can register with us at the reformtheunitednationsnow.com website, we'll get in touch with you. If you're working with any organizations that are in the interest of equality, please let us know, because we would like to meet with them and also brief and find out what you're doing and share what we're doing. Creating alliances is more important than we can say. They use the same tactics, which is divide and rule. So naturally the solution is to unify. And we're looking to do this from micro to macro, from reforming ourselves to looking at the importance of helping nations see the importance of their own sovereignty in this subject, their own abilities of working together. And this will include the African Union. This will include the European Union. This will include working with CARICOM. All of these groups are incredibly important, and our futures are all intertwined. It will take global solutions for global problems. Likewise, African solutions for African problems. And looking at this from the lens of a farmer and realizing how each field is different, each country is different, we realize that those who are there understand the best of how to build unity. Because at the end of the day, that's the strongest power that we will ever have. So in this quest for a more just and greater future, I hope that you will join us and that you will check us out on Facebook and Instagram. We're there, we're organizing, we're young, and we're looking forward to seeing so many new faces that have fresh ideas so we can work leaders together with leaders. We're not trying to repeat the same things that we've seen before. We want to be at the table. We want to be able to have a rational conversation about a rational subject, something that is not beyond anyone or based on some sort of, detailed, complicated subject. I do want to make sure that ones know that, I believe there's 7 pages of sources at the back of this, because it's important to have evidence for what you're saying. It's important to be accurate, and we're trying to be a group that is not driven by emotion, but one that can produce the truth through principle. And that's part of the reason why His Majesty is a part of this mission for us personally. And that's because what he said is a guide, it's correct, and on principle, he's right. And as a 13th founding member, and as the brainchild of Emperor Haile Selassie, we as those in the communities that understand Africa is bringing forth a vision. That vision is written in the charter and yet needs to be updated. That vision is in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, but needs to be defended. It's not up to others to defend ourselves. We must stand up for ourselves and take a part in what is our collective destiny and future. So I hope you will come together with us. I would like to thank everybody that's been working hard. We also have pamphlets so that you can see the who, what, when, whys very quickly and pass it on. And I would happily send you the PDF file so you can print it in your own country. And we're also getting them translated as we speak. So, let us know whether you want to translate a pamphlet yourself. But there's so much to do. We need musicians. We need hip-hop artists who can speak articulately. We need to sit together and see the plan and make sure it's clear. So I hope that we can come together and I can work with every one of you and we can all get to know each other, because there's a lot of us now in this. And I'm thankful to say that due to proper infrastructure and organization, it's now in all of our hands, and I'm very thankful to be passing on the inspiration and some seeds that we can watch grow, and I have faith that they will. So all glory to the Almighty. Thank you for your time, and I encourage you to check it out, and if you have the time as well, please check out the book, Mankind's Last Hope, The Urgent Need to Reform the United Nations Now, with guidance from His Majesty throughout. And I thank everybody right now who's helping out. All glory to the Almighty for this day and the breath of life. May we honor and protect it, my Lord.